We've all heard about problems at the border, right? Yeah, you're not going to believe what they pulled me over for. This story does not include the US Mexican border. Instead, it is a story about entering the United States from Canada. It was a very puckery situation. I can't believe why I got pulled over and had secondary inspection. You won't believe it either. We're going to cut away to my What's Up Wednesday show when I told the audience my story firsthand, and I'm going to summarize the tips at the end so you don't make the same mistake I did and almost got arrested. Kinda. Let's go. So I'm excited to be here with you tonight. I'm excited to be here with you every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern for What's Up Wednesday. My name is Scott. For meeting for the first time, howdy. Go Small, Live Large is all about compact travel so you can have a richer, more curious life. So let me tell you my story on the border situation. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm getting into Canada from I went in from Buffalo, New York, the Rainbow Bridge. It was you use a toll easy pass toll tag to get in. It was $5 to get into Canada, and got up there, and the nice gal at Canadian Customs asked me a few of the obvious questions: where do you live? What brings you to Canada? How long you staying? Do you have any guns? Any alcohol? Nope, none of those. And it was like a 2-minute little situation. She was very pleasant, very and welcome to Canada. Next, right? And I'm like, it's always like that getting into Canada in my experience. And I've been going to Canada, not lately, but back in the 90s and even some of the 2000s, maybe. I don't know. And then it's time to come back to the good old USA. And I was already stressing from the whole thing because every time back, even in the 90s, getting back in from Vancouver, Canada, Vancouver, BC, into the Seattle area was a huge wait and just a pain in the butt, right? And so I was prepared for that, right? So I asked a lot of people what they've done in the past. What should I get rid of? What should I say? And I'm like, I'm ready for it. So, and I came in through the north of Detroit border. It was really way north. Port Huron was the point of entry. It took an hour to get to the toll booth in Canada. It was $12. It took an hour. And she put out the credit card thing. I tapped my credit card. It took all of 15 seconds and I was done. And when I rolled up, she goes, how are you today? I'm like, I'm really exhausted from waiting in line for an hour for this 12-second transaction. She goes, oh, I know. What the hell? And so fine. I'm like, I wasn't even into the United States yet. That was just the Canada side, the goodbye charge for $12. Fine. And they had all the booths open. So I don't know. And anyway, so then I go over the bridge. This was the Blue River Bridge, and it was a lot of construction. So they kind of cone you down, and you come up over the bridge, and then it kind of spreads out for which vehicles should be in which lane. It was cars on the right, and the middle was kind of RVs and cars. So then there was the Nexus Pass, which is like kind of a fast pass TSA pre-check thing, and then the trucks, like semi trucks, tractor trailer trucks. And the RV line was pretty full with big Class A's and fifth wheels. And I'm like, okay, I'll just get in that line, right? And I kept looking at the Nexus sign. It was kind of obscured by the thing that holds it up, and then I thought I saw RV under the Nexus sign. So Nexus and RVs only. And I got close enough, and I did, in fact, see RV. So I'm like, and there's nobody there. And there's probably at least a 10 or more minute wait in the RV line with all the big rigs and everybody. So I'm like, fine, I'll just go this way and get into the Nexus RV only line. And I pull up, and the first thing, the really smiling, really happy to see me, really enjoys his job agent. We don't consider you an RV. That's a van. Good to know. Like, what? Not a hello. We're glad to have you back. F off. Just like, and then I'm like, and he didn't ask me a question, except, what do you think he asked me about? Spoiler alert. It was not a gun. Hence the thumbnail. It was, is that a plant in your window? That would be the plant on my dinette table that you can see from the outside because plants like light. And I said, yes. And he goes, is that a live plant? with the tonality of you moron. And I'm like, yeah, it's a live plant. How many do you have? I have you have 3 live plants? Like, yes. He goes, those are illegal. You can't have those. He gives me this sheet, gives me my passport back, and he's like, secondary inspection, go over there. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. What the fuck, right? And I'm like, he didn't ask me about booze, alcohol, illegal aliens, houseplant. All right. So I go to where he kind of pointed out, and I'm like, now I'm all nervous, right? Because I'm kind of emotional about my houseplants. One of them's been with me for 3 years, one for 2, and one for a little year and a half. Got that bad boy in Denver last June 2020. So I'm kind of emotional about my plants, and plants bring happiness to me and my van. And I'm like, so I open the door, and this really enjoys his job guy, different one, comes in. It's like through the glass doors, and bring your paperwork and your passport, and then have a seat. I'm now feeling like a criminal. I'm like, all right, this is going to be fun. I go through the double glass doors, kind of an airlock thing, right? And there's 3 agents behind a kind of a L-shaped bar thing with big sheet of glass in front of them. And no, I walk in, and not a single soul looks up at me. Clearly, I'm standing there. And the one guy finally looks up and goes, "What are you here for?" I'm like, apparently have some very illegal houseplants. Have a seat. Oh my God. You all need to retire early because you all are a bunch of grumps. I don't know. I'm like, fine. I didn't sit down for more than, I don't know, 15 seconds. I just not even enough time to get my phone out and start going, what the hell? And some guy comes out of almost from behind me. And he's like, follow me, please. And I follow him outside, and the sliding patio door was open. And I didn't step in. I was just kind of waiting for the instructions on what to do. And he kind of looks in the van and clearly sees that it's a motorhome. And then he's like, I think he did actually ask me, do you mind if I step in? I'm like, of course not. And he looks at the plant on the table, which is kind of a peace lily. Super happy. I got 3 blooms happening and 1 more coming up. It's a happy plant. And he's like, it's illegal to bring houseplants from Canada. I said, I had no idea. I asked a lot of people about a lot of different things. Nobody said anything about houseplants. Now I'm looking at my little sheet that they gave me, and I'm like, let me read the list of things. Are you ready for this? Let's start over here. Fresh fruits. Got rid of those. Fresh vegetables. Got rid of those. Meat and dairy products. I had some sliced ham sandwich meat and my half and half. You can take that if you want. Cut flowers. Okay. Firewood. Totally get that. Plants. Yeah. House plants. Seeds and nuts for consumption. Seeds for planting. Other food items. And then live animals. And we'll talk about live animals in just a second. But I'm like, I couldn't believe it. He goes, and then he goes over and inspects my little ficus tree on top of the galley. And then he goes, where's the third one? I'm like, well, it's right there on that shelf. He goes, that's a live plant? I'm like, yeah, it likes being in the dark. That's when I got in Denver back in June of 2023. I'm very emotional about my plants, by the way. These aren't typical house plants. They've been with me for many years. And he's like, these are illegal to bring out of Canada because plants carry bugs. Plants carry bacteria, and it could infect farmers' stuff. I said, I get it. I brought these into Canada. The nice lady that waved me in and welcomed me to Canada didn't say anything about it. She was asking me about the usual stuff. And by now I'm getting a little worried they're going to take my damn house plants. And he looked at them all. They were healthy. Obviously, they're not bought. They've been sitting here for a long time. He kind of wiggled them around. It's like, how do you make this stuff stick to the thing? I'm like, it's a long story. Let's continue, please. And he stepped out and he went away. He goes, I'll be right back. So now I figure they're either going to confiscate my very illegal houseplants, or I'm going to jail, or both. Or they're going to do a more thorough search of the van, which is fine. There's nothing illicit in there. And he comes back a few minutes later, and I'm sitting on my bench seat looking out the sliding patio door. And he did not come back in. He just kind of stayed out there, and he comes leaning on the jump seat in the sliding door. And he's like, "This is kind of a gray area. There's a regulation that's pretty old. We're going to use that as the why. I'm going to let you keep them. And he's looking at me like this scolding father scowl. And he's like, but don't let me ever catch you bringing plants back from Canada. Fine. What the fuck? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Fine. I hope this is the worst thing that happens to you today, sir. Because I'm like, I'm a shaken mess. I'm like, these guys. And then he just walked away. He literally just turned and walked away. And I'm sitting there with my little thing, and I'm looking at my house plants. I'm kind of petting the ones like, yay, we get to leave together. And there was no instruction. No, have a nice day. Welcome to America. Go back to Canada. You know, and I'm sitting there for like a couple of minutes, and I'm like, and there was agents kind of everywhere because there was a car in front of me, and they were all kind of buzzing around like bees on a flower. No pun intended with the plants, and they just all disappeared. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then two plainclothes agents come out, and they're kind of looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, the guy said I could go. How do I get out of here? And in their most humorous, most informational, most cheerful voice they could possibly muster, they said, you just back out and go over there. Dumbass was the tone of the voice. And I'm like, man, you guys have a tough job. I get it. But you don't have to be assholes every minute of the day, right? And so I kind of go out and I back out, and this big old Class A was going for a secondary inspection too. 5 mid-life crisis guys get out of this thing, and they're not looking super happy. I'm pretty sure they didn't have houseplants. I'm not sure what they had in there, but they were going in for the super awesome happy treatment like I did. So I went across the border, got down into Port Huron. I was headed to a KOA because I've been... by that point, I needed a cold beer. Let me tell you, but I just couldn't believe it. So be aware. Don't bring your houseplants into Canada or back into the U.S. Learn from my experience. That's what we do here. Watch out for the seeds and the nuts. Again, this is the title right here. So this is not the booze, tobacco, guns, and stuff list, but it does say live animal. So I don't have a live animal, and Justin and a number of us have a lot of conversation on what live animals. I kind of looked it up online and was going to share this, but the connection's not great. So I just Googled bringing a pet into U.S. from Canada. It does need to be chipped. These are new rules as of August 1st, 2024. It does need to be chipped, and you do need a rabies vaccine card, basically. And there's ages, it has to be like over 4 months of age. And if the rabies shot was delivered in the last 30 days, you can't come in. And it has to be a U.S. vet, not a Canadian one, from what I kind of scanned today. So my advice is, if you're going into Canada, they're way more pleasant. Don't bring the obvious stuff in. Do your homework on your pet. And then when you come back into the U.S., take heed on the pet and the usual I gotchas, guns, alcohol, bullets, and houseplants, clearly. On the way into Canada, this is something to be aware of. On the way into Canada, she asked me specifically if I had, maybe because it's an RV, that had bear spray or pepper spray. And I'm like, well, which is probably more illicit? I said, I've got bear spray. She goes, how much? I got 2 cans. Bear spray's okay. Pepper spray is not. Good to know. I had a little pepper spray, but I didn't say anything. So if I've been super honest, Scott, I may have been pulled over and had the secondary treatment there too. I don't know. So be aware of that. So bear spray, okay, going into Canada. Pepper spray is a no-no. Houseplants and everything else on this list that lives, you'll want to check that list. So just Google it. It popped up a bunch of things and pretty easy. So thanks again for watching that segment of What's Up Wednesday. We get together every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern to talk about travel, vans, cruises, gear, destinations, answer your questions. We have guests. So join us for that. Please put it in your calendar, 7 p.m. every Wednesday for What's Up Wednesday. So to summarize my situation, my experience at the border is... be careful of the usual suspects: alcohol, tobacco, guns. Pepper spray's a no-no. Bear spray's okay. Food-wise, it is the usual suspects: fresh fruits, meats, although they didn't ask about that, and clearly live plants is a real big problem. So be careful with your live plants. I almost had mine confiscated or I was going to jail. Which would you have picked? And the other thing around pets is I would do some research. This is kind of a fluid situation. We've had a lot of changes over the years, and certainly the last couple of years around COVID. So do your homework there. Just do a quick Google search, and you will come up with the right answers. And excuse me, I just wish the agents would be a little more friendly, humanitarian, welcoming their own citizens back. We're kind of paying their payroll. I get it. They got a very tough job, but if they could just put a little humility and a little help into their tone and step, I sure would appreciate that. More importantly, I appreciate you watching. If you enjoy these kinds of videos on tips, a place to take your van, travel videos, cooking, we do all that here on Go Small, Live Large. My name is Scott again. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Another night and I'm just walking, city lights and people talking. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I wonder if you got that feeling, staring at your bedroom ceiling. And think about me the